Panda. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Omnic Lab. I'm your host, Rob May, and this is the premier strategy podcast that focuses on the game of Overwatch. And we are going to learn in a trial and error scientific method style of podcast where we adjust your play to maybe some of the best players in the top ranks. And this week, we're going to be going deep on episode number 74 with the hero Zenyatta. And joining me, as always, is your man from Georgia. We got Andres Gomez. What's up, Andres?
What's up, Rob? I am super excited for this episode. Zenyatta is one of my favorite heroes, definitely one of my favorite supports. He's a very aggressive kind of support, but still very calm and very, tranquil inside. So it's an awesome guy to talk about, and we have a great guest to talk about him today. Our guy, RossianSpy. How you doing, dude?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? I'm good.
Glad to have you. Yeah, RossianSpy is a top 500 Zenyatta main, but also plays a lot of other things, and especially in the support tiers. He will help us bring a little bit more of a transcendent, maybe a little bit more zen to the show this week, and hopefully bring a little bit more yin and yang your way to help you experience tranquility as you try to climb the ladder. So, without further ado, we have one mega huge announcement for you this week. Not only will Andres and I be able to go to BlizzCon this year, as you may well be in the know. Not only are we both participating in panels at Con Before the Storm the day before BlizzCon, but we just got word from Blizzard that we got our Media Pass badge accepted. So we are going to have official Media Passes to go on the Blizzard BlizzCon floor, and we couldn't be happier.
That's right.
I'm super pumped about this.
Yeah, we're going to be fighting with the other podcasters down in the trenches to get those interviews. It's going to be a bloodbath, I imagine,
Apparently it's called the Pit, so...
We'll see how it goes. No, I'm super excited. It should be a really great experience. We hope to bring you guys a lot of content back from BlizzCon. We want to do at least one special episode with some of the stuff that we gather over there. So, yeah, just looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got some really cool stuff planned, but again, this is like Andres. Not only are Andres and I going as not professionals. God, we're not professionals. Maybe more
media
like
people.
Media people. There you go. We're probably going as media people, but this is like our first time at BlizzCon ever, and we're going as like creators. And it's like, I don't know whether to try to experience this more as a creator or just like. I just want to enjoy it. So we'll kind of like see if we can tiptoe the balance. So we're really excited to go do that for you. But anyways, we wanted to make that announcement official, and we're super pumped. And we also wanted to make one more announcement, which is next week's show. We finally have a 2-week vision this month. Occasionally, we can plan ahead. But at the next episode, we're going to be having Switchfox, which is the owner of the Omnic meta, and CS, our returning console top 500 player on PlayStation, joining us to talk about the meta and some discussions on console-specific dynamics and some cool discussions with CS. It'll be good to have those guys back. But enough about us. Let's talk about the RossianSpy. Let us talk some Zenyatta from Nepal.
Bliss.
So, Roshan, kind of give us the rundown. What brought you to gaming? What's kind of your gaming background? And then how you transitioned to Overwatch and why Zenyatta. So kind of just give us a big recap there.
It's a long time. Well, I started playing games probably, back in NES days. Good old Tiny Toons and Ninja Turtles. And then
buddy.
Progressed into Sega with like Dune and Sonic. And then PlayStation 1 came out. And all this time, I didn't even own any of these consoles. I had to go to like internet cafes to play them. And then I finally moved to US and got my first PC. And I remember my first game was Sims. And by that time, I think we got Counter-Strike and then I started playing first-person shooters a lot. And
So this might sound like a really stupid question, but you're originally from Russia, right?
Lithuania, actually. So,
Gotcha.
but Russian descent.
Nice. We actually have similar stories on gaming. Just I grew up in Latin America, so nobody had like internet connection or computers over there. So we all had to play in internet cafes, and it was kind of nice because you actually got to meet a lot of people, and you had kind of like that community, kind of like building kind of thing. I don't know if it was the same for you, kind of like a small group of people who would always game in the same spot.
Yeah, it was kind of like I had to always beg from my mom for like a dollar to go and play for like 30 minutes with my friends, you know. And eventually we always like had a group of our friends that would go and play. It was pretty different.
Well, I think the code is you're playing as a Russian spy, even though you're from Lithuania. Air quotes. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
that's what we're saying.
Russian descent, so considered definitely more Russian. Like I know Lithuanian, but it's not nearly as fluent as Russian. So my parents are like basically straight up Russian. So,
Gotcha.
But anyway, I started playing Counter-Strike as probably my second FPS. First FPS was Quake back in the day, where you still had to like shoot with space, and you didn't have the super awesome laser mice. You had to use the balls or whatever you need to clean them.
Yeah.
And then played a lot of Counter-Strike 1.5, 1.6, and Source, and then went into League of Legends and played that for a while. Got to like Diamond, and I just couldn't play it for 45 minutes anymore. Every single game, it just took so long that I got really tired. And then Overwatch came out, and I'm like, this is kind of similar, except it requires aim skill. This is perfect. And I switched to that.
And not 20,000 hours to get good.
Right,
well,
exactly.
now
That's
does.
probably another thing.
Now it does. You can't just play Mercy. Oh, wait.
And then with Zen, how I got into Zen was I think I started playing Tracer a lot because I thought her mechanics were just so different, so unique, so fun. But then when you start playing comp, like people would take DPS, and then I'm like, someone has to play support, and I was just like, I'm gonna play this guy because he actually like involves aiming, and you can do kind of a little bit of both. You can still frag and heal at the same time. So I kind of started playing more and more of that, and then it just kind of like kicked off into me playing Zen all the time.
Very cool.
And that is why you're here, to share your knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
So,
do you guys want to get into it?
Yeah, let's just get right into it. So I'm going to run down just a quick couple of stat things, but this is more for RossianSpy than for you guys. I'm not looking at the show notes. If you'd like to follow along in your show, you can pull up the show notes, and on the website you can click the full show notes on the Google Drive, and you can see everything. But he is 200 health, 150 of it is shields, which is one of the most important things about the kit, because you can regenerate 150 of your health if you're not taking damage over time. In addition, your orbs are going to be doing 46 damage a pop, which means 92 damage is a headshot. And the volley will let you do 5 of those in quick succession. So if you land all 5 of your shots, that's 230 damage if none of them are hitting headshots. So it's pretty big burst of damage with the volley. Then you have Orb of Harmony. That's 30 healing per second. Discord is 30 damage, 30% damage bonus per second. And then Transcendence is 300 healing per second, and you move faster for 6 seconds. And that's within a 10-meter radius, okay? So now that you kind of get a gist of what he does, Rosian, would you like to take us away with what is the role that Zen fills in a team comp, and how does he fulfill that within his quote unquote job during the game?
Well, he's like definitely an off healer, I'd say, because he can't be the primary healer because 30 HP per second is just not enough to heal everybody. Although you do get sometimes occasionally when you can solo heal a Zen back before the Mercy was around. I think you could sometimes pull it off, but it really requires a seriously strong team. So yeah, he's an off healer that kind of stays in the back and definitely has to be. I always imagine him as the maestro, or like the air flight control kind of like traffic control guy, because he has to see the whole picture, and then at the same time he has to like maneuver like, okay, this person needs a little bit of this person needs a little bit of that, okay, let's focus that. So kind of like that. I like the strings, moving the strings around behind the scenes. No one really notices him, but he does a lot of work.
They noticed it once they got a bunch of orbs stuck in their face and they're dead.
Right, exactly. Until then,
Yeah.
he's a little unknown guy.
Let's talk a little bit about that because I agree with you. Zen likes to be in the like the behind the scenes guy. He's not in the forefront. He doesn't want to drag attention to himself. He kind of just wants to be in the back of his team. He wants to be putting his orbs where needed and doing a ton of extra DPS. If you know how to aim with the orbs, you can do a ton of damage with Zen. So maybe let's talk a little bit about that, how you position with Zen, how you try to keep the attention away from you while still contributing to the team.
So it depends on the team comp, like especially on the opposite team, I'd say. If the other team doesn't have any flankers, then I actually prefer to stay a little bit more back. And I think the distance for me would be probably at least like 2 tracer blinks. I guess that would be a good way to think of it, like 20 meters or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to think
from
about
your
it.
team.
A good way to think about it.
So yeah, if there's no flankers, I can stay back. And then especially, let's say we're playing, what's that new map? The moon one? I forget the name of it. Do you guys
Lunar
remember?
Colony.
Lunar Colony, yeah. So like that one, when you're attacking the first point, a lot of the times everyone likes to go like top right or just bottom right or whatever. And then if there's no flankers, I'll actually just like don't go with them because one, I'm so slow half the time, like they're already ahead of me because they never like wait for me.
Nobody
And
ever
then
waits
two-
for Zen.
Yeah, I like, even if it's Lucia's speed boost, they're like, okay, guys, we go. And then like the speed boost, and they just like, I'm like, wait. And then like the boost activates and they're already gone. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Gym class.
Yeah. So that started happening. That's kind of how I started to do that. Basically, they would go and I would not go because I would have like that center view. There's like the little window, so I can still kind of discord, and I actually start going around and like actually go on the left side, and because there's nobody that's gonna really challenge me there unless there's like a tracer. So then I get to sit there and just be like, okay, discording that target. Basically, I want to be in a field of view where I can give you maybe a flank and I can shoot some people, and then I can discord, and then I can still see my team and give them the harmony orb. That's the one, and then if there are more flankers, which was like a dive meta, then like you have to be like with the team like right there. With the new meta now, it's not as crazy. So let's say you have one flanker, I would probably stay next to someone besides like Mercy's. Like if you have McCree, because McCree's pretty popular, so it helps out. And soldiers, just anyone that's kind of not going to be always in front, then you can kind of be next to them. So you still tag along.
Okay.
Nice.
So what about like fundamentals? I'm thinking if you had to sit down and somebody is brand new to the hero at all, even if they're plat or diamond or masters level, and they just pick up Zen, maybe some of your things you're like, okay, make sure you're doing X, Y, and Z. Or if somebody is literally just in bronze, silver, or gold, and they want to move up a tier, what's kind of your bread and butter?
Well, I'd say number one is definitely communication with him, because people need to know who you're discording, because like that's like a huge thing. It's like a huge damage boost again, or debuff, I would say, whatever, on the target. So if people don't know who to focus, then they don't really utilize you. So you definitely want to shot call, I'd say, just like whatever the target is, and just discord it, and just say discorded that target, just so they know. Then the second one is try not to die as much, because a lot of times I notice when I would die, the whole thing just starts to fall apart. So you're like the glue that holds everything together in a sense. So definitely stay more back. And like if you're dying all the time, then maybe you're out of position because there's flankers. So maybe you're too far back. So then stop dying. Just stay closer to the team. So like minimizing the death count, because the longer you are there, even if you're not fragging, you're doing work. So that's kind of like a huge thing, just being there. What else? Bread and butter wise, positioning is definitely 1, 2, shot calling, and 3, I'd say healing the correct people with your harmony, leaving it on at the certain people for sure. Usually you heal like the weaker kind of characters, or like the smaller HP characters that are gonna go in there. Let's say Genji goes in there, and Anna is not gonna always be able to hit him just because there's always shields and all that stuff, and Mercy is just gonna like fly and be in danger. So you always want to be that guy that lets him get that little extra HP boost while he's going in there. So that'll be like that. I guess the basic 3 is definitely, say if you minimize deaths, it's gonna be like probably on the most important one.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's dive a little deeper on the orbs themselves, because the orbs, like you said, can be pretty powerful. And let's touch on Discord first, because I feel like everybody thinks about Zen as a healer and stuff, but I think that one of the biggest tools that he brings into the battlefield is the Discord orb, which is actually not a healer kind of like ability at all. It's really, really like an offensive ability. It's all about like decreasing the weakness or increasing the weaknesses in your targets. How do you go about using Discord orb?
So when I like when I started playing Zen, like I just played Zen, and then when I started streaming and I did the whole like voice thing where I'm just like, all right, over here we have a tracer coming up to escort in this target. No longer with us, and like people started adding me, and it was getting really popular with the voice, with the voice, and they would just say like, dude, your shot calling is amazing, and then I'm just like, but I'm just escorting targets that I'm shooting at. I don't know why
Just
it's
a
good.
meme.
So I never really even thought about like why my shot calls were good and whatever. I just scored whoever I thought I was shooting at. But now I'd say you're definitely gonna always discording anything that's ulting, because you need to kill that first, unless it's Mercy. Almost Mercy, like just right now, don't even. It's a waste of orb, basically. I'd say, unless your soldier's ulting, just good luck. So yeah, always discording anything that's ulting, and then just think about like who is going to be attacking who, or even if you say, let's say for example, your Genji is going to go in there. Who is he going to be focusing? If he's going to be focusing the support, then you try to get the support, and you tell that person that you're going to do that. And if there's nobody flanking, then you just go to Reinhardt. Just start shooting at Reinhardt. Eventually, he does his flame strike, and then you just score him, break your shield, and so anything that your team can start shooting at, you want to focus. Right now, I always usually try to focus the supports more if there's a monkey or something like that, because once the support dies, things fall apart, and that's kind of what I've learned when I would die would happen. I'm like, we need to kill the Zen. Kill him first. Like, he's the easy pick.
I know who's important in this situation, and it's me.
Yeah.
That's one thing with the Discord orb that I definitely want to highlight, and is that as much as you want to be shot calling, and when you are able to get a target in Discord, you want to let your team know. You also want to be very aware, like you said, what your team is focusing. If you see your Roadhog lands a hook on a person, you want to Discord the person that he just hooked, for example. Or if you see your Widow has a clear shot on somebody in the back line, and you can send the Discord too, you can do that too. Like, being very aware of what your team is trying to focus and kind of like going with the flow of that they're doing can be really good. Some of the best games that I've had with Zen, my teammates have been like, dude, you were like spot on with those Discords. Like, every time I was focusing somebody, the Discord would come along. It would make my life so much easier. So if you're able to like consistently do this, your team will thank you, and they will notice for sure, because people will be melted.
Right. No, it's definitely the Roadhog one is a big one that I'd say I forgot to mention, because it just automatically happens now. But again, those discords won't happen unless you are in a good position. So a lot of times the shields can block them. So that's why you have to be that little guy sometimes that flanks a little bit and then does the little discords tricks and then surprises them that way as well. And then you land one dink on them at the same time, and that also just makes things a lot easier. So
yeah. Another thing that I want to mention with it too is since your orbs have a travel time, you can fire the Discord after you fire your shots, for example. I've started doing this. I'm pretty sure you've done it too, where you load your right click for a little bit, and as you let it go, you Discord the target that your orbs are traveling to for like a massive burst of damage.
Yeah, it definitely, that's something you should do, because I think the right click otherwise is a little weak, because it's hard to land all 5 shots, especially from like far away. So it is huge if you can actually Discord and do the volley. Is what it's called, volley? I don't know what that.
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah.
It's called.
Yeah. So that's another thing definitely I would do. Even if you're just gonna charge like 2 balls because you're in a big quick fight, still always Discord something after. And obviously, definitely Discord something. That's one thing I was thinking about. Sometimes maybe Discording a target and then me personally shooting something else, because that person needs to kill that target first. I haven't really experimented with that enough because sometimes it feels like I need to kill this right now.
Yeah.
So I always discard the target that I'm hitting. But I think that might be something as well that at higher level play you could try, where Mercy is discorded and you're focusing on the Roadhog right now because you need to wait for her to die.
Like soften them up. Yeah. Yeah, okay. We got like two big questions here from Vancini and Omega Man that I'm going to kind of combine together, which is talking about prioritization when you're in disorganized groups like solo queue or duo queue. And then to go along with that, how do you know how long to leave targets with the Discord? I mean, for my personal experience, it's always been if I believe that my target is correct, then the target sticks with the Discord until it returns. Like they go out of line of sight, they die, they lose that line of sight for 3 seconds, and then the Discord orb returns. Then the Discord orb just needs to be on something always.
So prioritization first, again, depending on what their comp is. So let's say there's a flanker going in Volskaya. I will usually make the call out like, okay, there's a tracer going on the right side. And if there's someone with me, I will Discord her because that gives me some vision where she's going. A lot of times you use Discord also just for map awareness of things. Sometimes, you're just fighting someone, they're running away. And then I'm like, oh, they're coming on this side now. And then someone else can actually catch them off guard. But if I didn't have that Discord and long enough, then I wouldn't be able to really know where they're actually going. Mm-hmm. So prioritizing targets, I always prioritize whatever comes out. Like if I'm playing defense, whatever comes out first in a sense. And then as soon as maybe something more important comes out, like a Pharah is flying now over me, I will switch over to Pharah because that's like a number one thing that's always going to be causing you annoyance and stuff like that. So the Discord always fluctuates and it's always changing. And the prioritization is not like, okay, if A is this, if B does, it's so much dynamic that you can't just be like automatically, like just having this like cookie cutter like little formula that you can go with.
It's more of like a threat, right? Like a threat,
yeah, it's a threat. It's this way I like that air traffic control kind of idea because you're always doing management all the time. But definitely one thing you don't keep it on is tanks. Don't like constantly just hold it on the tank the whole time when there's like crazy stuff going on, right? You're usually gonna make someone focus the 200 HP heroes that are doing work. Like Widows, for example. A lot of times I still Discord Widows and have to fight them because we don't have someone that can actually like jump on them. So then I have to Discord her and try to kill her. Otherwise, we lose because Widow out of control becomes really ridiculous. So stuff like that is just like think about the most danger posing threat right now to you, and you're gonna Discord that. And again, sometimes it just be to save you yourself because if you die, then you'd rather have a team member die right now or not get the pick than you dying because now you're gonna potentially lose all the damage that you're going to do and the healing in the next 30 seconds or even more, depending on how long it takes you to get back.
It's definitely a judgment call for sure. You have to kind of be assessing, like you said. I love all the examples that you're giving because let's say you get flanked by a Tracer or a Genji. Obviously, the Discord should go immediately on them because at that point, you're trying to win a 1v1 duel. You have no way of escaping. If they're on you, they're on you. And Zen can win these duels with a Discord orb. You can get a couple headshots in, then kick him in the face, and you've done 200 damage, no problem. I'm sure you're used to doing that. But I also love like the examples that you've also given, where Discord orb should maybe go on a target that you're not even focusing, and that is also a judgment call. Let's say the enemy team has a Pharah, and the only thing you have to deal with that Pharah is a McCree, and he definitely doesn't have his ultimate, and you're trying to help him out because maybe Pharah is getting pocketed by a Mercy, or she has a healing orb on her, whatever it is. But you can Discord the Pharah, but then maybe you realize that the front line is getting pushed, and they need your spam damage to go into the front line, and you're just setting the Discord to help out your McCree while you're setting your damage to help out maybe the front line with your Reinhardt to push back their own front line. So I believe it's just more of a judgment call that you should be doing with your Discord. Like, where is it going to be utilized the best?
Yeah. And it's something that's just going to happen instinctually, second nature, the more you play. You don't really have to think about it. It's just going to be like, oh, this is happening, this is happening. And then maybe post-game you can feel like, well, maybe I should not Discord at that moment. But it's sometimes so hard to tell because it's so fast that, you can't sit there and analyze everything because it's still flowing and you're still playing. But the one thing, like you mentioned, with the shooting something that's not Discorded and Discording something else, that's something that I've not really done enough. I think that's something I could test to see if it's actually like very good or not.
Mm-hmm.
What was the second question?
One thing, it was about the
hand.
keep. Yeah, it was kind of like wrapped in one, but yeah, I kind of wanted to go on the other side of what Andres's proposal, I guess you could say, because there is the two ways. Because what happens is when you do play the way that the Discord is what you're hitting, you can guarantee that somebody is shooting the Discord target because you're the one that's in control of who the Discord target is. So there is that kind of value proposition that you have to be running in your mind is, well, like the Widow example, for example, right? Like if nobody's diving her, if somebody's diving her in the process of diving, they're maybe not getting their shots landing, like you're shooting them at the same time. So you got two people going at the same target. Because you know who's Discorded and you know where they're moving. Nobody else has the access to that information until you tell them. So it does have the two things, right? Like if somebody is shooting them, they're aware. You can kind of do what Andres was saying and test it out. Like let him shoot the Widow, and then I'm going to shoot the Reinhardt because he's charging my Reaper, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think we can move into the Harmony Orb. So the Harmony Orb is the one thing that is the lowest healing ability in the game, but it heals, not the lowest healing ability in the game. It's the lowest support healing in the game. We'll qualify that. It's the lowest support healing in the game because I believe it's kind of the same as the Biotic Field that Soldier has. I believe they're both either that or Biotic Field, maybe 25 a second instead of 30. But either way, this orb is single target. So how do you manage your single target healing with Zenyatta?
That one's probably the most even faster than I would say than Discords because you're constantly jumping from one to another. I always try to top everybody off, and when we're not actually like anyone diving in. But anytime you have a monkey, you have a tracer, and you have a Genji, I always put it on them first because I know they're going to be going somewhere. The only thing that I hate about Harmony right now is that it just goes away once they're full after, I don't know, what's the time limit. Because there's times where I'm like, all right, we're running in the beginning of the game and I throw my Harmony Orb right away in like a Widow or whatever. And then I forget that it went away and then I have to redo it. Because they're full HP.
I actually didn't know that.
Is that a bug?
I thought that it would only happen when they were like off your line of sight for a few seconds. I didn't know that if they were full, eventually it comes back to you.
Yeah, it always comes back. So if you just sit right, watch them, and after like a second, not a second, but like a couple seconds, once they're full HP, it just comes back, and you have no Harmony anywhere. Which is I don't know why. I would really prefer it just to stay because it's not like OP. It's just there, so I don't have to worry about it, especially in the very beginning of the fight.
I guess is there a way to keep you engaged with the orb? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little annoying. But anyway. Yeah, you're always going to be putting on the orb in the beginning of those guys. Monkey's going to jump in. You're going to throw that orb on there because he's going to need to do that work. And usually it stays there until it returns on its own. Unless, obviously, a Genji's jumping in, and then I see Genji's taking more damage. Then you switch it to him during that whole process. So whenever you got the diving going on, you're going to throw it on those people. And then as soon as you get dove, you better yell out, Mercy. Someone's coming for me or whoever's there. And then you usually, if they come to you, you're gonna heal them. You want to monkey jumps in. I've done too many times where I'm discorded the monkey, Mercy's healing me, and I forget to do anything about that, and then the Mercy dies because he starts to focus the Mercy, and I didn't finish killing him. So you want to support the support players right away when that kind of like a dive happens, especially with Mercy. Like now, I keep the Harmony Orb on Mercy when she goes in to res someone, when she's going in. Just in the front line, forget about the other guys. She's gonna res them. Just like right now, you want to keep her alive because the game has become more of like who kills Mercy first, in a sense, wins that battle because of the res. So healing the support is very underrated. I think by a lot of players, like when I would play just by myself, a lot of times people would forget to heal me in lower ranks, and then I noticed once I got heals from the mercies when somebody dove, we would actually win fights because we killed the picks because the flankers would die, and then we have an advantage. So definitely don't forget to prioritize healers when you get doved, or just in general, just keeping it on that healer will probably give you more. Unless it's Lucio. Lucio is the kind of character that rarely dies when he's low because he always activates his little boost of health. So you know, I still manage to jump around between them, but it's not as much as Mercy. Like, because Mercy, even when she ults, I still throw it on her because you never know. Someone wants to kill her and they get that one lucky dig on her and stuff like that.
Right.
So
I think
but
that's great
it's
advice.
very quick.
Yeah, that like keeping an eye on your healer, and if your Mercy's helping you, helping her, that some symbiotic relationship is super important. And when you're at DPS, especially if you're playing like a flanker, trying to get on the healers, there's nothing worse than running into two healers that are helping out each other. It's like it makes your life so much harder. And every time like you encounter that, like it feels like the enemy team is really strong every time that they do that. Just keeping out each other, keeping each other alive. Because, you know, supports can actually stay alive for a really long time, especially if they're like both going back and forth, helping out each other.
I like Winston. Winston
Yeah,
just tickles you.
I've had some fun games when the dive meta was huge. I think it was like the beginning of season 5, where we played some triple support defense, where we had like an Anna, Mercy, and Zen, and we actually were winning some of these games because I'm just like, just keep healing me, guys. Just keep healing me, guys, and then we'll never die, you know? Because that's all it was just crazy dives at you. And I think that's something people don't use enough. I think that could be actually still used as triple support with like an Anna going in there. And then if you damage boost, even the damage boosting Zen with an Anna and a Mercy, you actually doing like 112 damage with just one shot with the Discord.
That's insane.
So, you know, if they actually had that, if they actually, you know, tried that out, that
Hanzo arrow.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty, and you're shooting so fast. You can take out a Roadhog in 3 hits, you know? So it actually was really, really cool because people didn't know what to do. You just couldn't kill you, you know? Like a Tracer can try to one-clip you, but it's too bad. You're not going to get that. It's not enough damage, you know? So, that's something really, really cool about that as well. And then one thing I didn't mention is being able to switch harmonies when like, because Mercy is going to be doing a lot of healing as well, or whoever's doing the work. So if you see someone like Mercy healing the tank right away, because like initially like they'll get to red zone or whatever, the little help me sign appears. You know, you throw that harmony on there, and then Mercy flies to help them. Just switch it off right away to something else if that needs to work. So like being able to swap between the two right away is also important, because otherwise you're just wasting it, because Mercy is going to top it off really quick, and there's another character that's not being healed. So you have to know how to like understand what she's doing and what you're doing. And it's just going to happen kind of from practice, I'd say.
Yeah, just like Discord, you have to be very aware. You have to be making those judgment calls. Even like you said, being really aware of when your tanks are going to dive. If you see your Winston leaping over the air into the enemy team, you know, that's a good sign that you should probably throw the healing orb on him to help him out a little bit. Or you see your Genji dash up in the air to take out his sword, you know, you want to maybe throw him the little orb as well. Same with your Pharah when she's, you know, flanking in the back, trying to get the Widow or something. You know, be very aware of what's the circumstances on the battlefield and use your judgment with that. Is there anything else you want to add with the orb?
Yeah, anytime anytime someone's ulting, you're just going to throw that harmony orb. And the easiest way to think of it is like you want those assists. You want those little like dink, dink, dink sounds when someone kills someone. Mm-hmm. So just be like, you know, soldier ulted. Just give it, you do that, be greedy just to get those assists. But in a sense, you're actually going to help them just to keep alive. So sometimes they'll just throw
offensive and defensive assists at the same time.
Exactly. So like, you just want to throw that in there. Whatever's going to be doing work, you're going to throw that harmony on there to get those assists and keeping them alive. So you can, in a sense, probably even look at who's the best player as in a DPS stand, like, you know, stats wise in the very beginning, and if they're playing DPS, just like think about, you're gonna probably focus on helping that character the most because they're gonna be doing a lot of work, and
they're gonna be the focus of the enemy team too, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So anytime ults happen and anytime you have a strong player that's gonna carry you, basically you want to just keep it on them. But obviously, don't just like sit on them. You're gonna make sure.
Yeah, don't ignore the rest of your team. Help them, prioritize them, but you know, still keep the love on everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it for Harmony.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just keep in mind, folks, it is a 40-meter range. So you have to be within line of sight and within 40 meters. And I've been privy to this a few times when I try to hold some high grounds that are a little tighter. I'm thinking especially on those long sight lines like in King's Row and in Eichenwald, especially with the height differential once you get up in the castle area. It's really tough to make sure that you have the distance range to be able to throw the orbs in the right targets. Because you can be mega safe, but you may not actually have the range to hit the discords or the harmonies in the right targets. So you have to maintain both of those things. And 40 meters is a freakishly long range, but just keep that in mind. It's not infinite.
Yeah. One more thing with Harmony, I'd say,
Yeah.
is that what's it called? Sometimes people get like and they're like low HP and they're asking you to heal them, but you're on a different angle and you just can't see them a little bit. So you have to start talking to them, be like, just jump up or something, so you can do it. Like Genjis, a lot of times they're so high up and you just can't reach them, and so start talking to them while they're taking damage, and sense like I can't get to you, blah 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 blah, so they can like push back, and then you can give them that orb to save the day. That's another communication, I guess, is another thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think we can go on to choosing your damage, choosing the left click, aka the orbs of destruction, versus pre-firing your right clicks or just spamming your volleys.
So that was a big topic, I'd say, when people watch me play stream, because I was one of the players that doesn't really use the volleys at all that much. Oh, I mean, probably like 5% of the time I'll use them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using them a little bit more now than before. The reason why, I think the stats say right there, is what's the regular, what is it, rate per, was it 2.5 orbs per second, regular shooting?
Regular shooting
The regular
46
shooting
damage
is 2.5
per orb.
orbs a second.
Yeah, there you go.
How many? 2.5, right?
2.5 a second.
Yeah,
is how
2.5
many
a second.
rounds.
So if you think about it, in a sense, the DPS that you're putting out when you're just doing primary fire is faster and should be more. I mean, obviously, unless you hit all 5 shots to the head when you charge up.
I think technically
if you're
if you're shooting
consistently spamming.
constantly, yeah, if you keep spamming them, you should do more DPS with your primary fire than with the orbs. I think
Especially
you're right.
if you have more control over what you're aiming with.
Not by like a huge margin, but it's a little like significant enough.
Yeah, so that's one of the things when I looked at it and like, but I don't like this right click at all. Like, it's like, first of all, my main thing with right click is that you're charging this thing for 4 seconds and you can't do anything during that time. You can't discord or harmony. So that's why I'm like, I can't do anything with it besides maybe pick a corner and shoot. So my main thing with right clicking, you're doing it when no one's in danger in the very beginning, or there's like a big cluster of like, of everybody with like a Reinhardt sitting there and they're still pushing the wall. So then you don't have to really worry about your team being in danger. You can start throwing some of those volley shots in there. But most of the time, I still would like to have the control of what I'm discording, what I'm harmonying, because you can be swapping discords and harmonies within a second of each other, like especially harmony, like just like a half a second, boom, boom, boom. And then if you're charging that up for like 2 seconds already, you're just wasting that time of you being able to do something with it. So I think if you're a starting player, definitely don't focus on right clicking. Just learn to aim with the character and learn to just manage the orbs, because it's such a hard shot to even like hit. It's just different. The flow of it is not the same at all as just for primary fire, that you're probably just doing less good than you are with just primary fire. So now I'm using primary fire more often. The main one I'd say for sure to use is you just go to a target. It's a one-on-one battle. You guys have some objects in between you. You're behind a corner. You have vision. They don't because of your Discord. You can charge it up, and then maybe they can run into it, and then you can just shoot the balls at them, and they just get blown up. Definitely try to volley after you Discord something, because then you already have that damage there, so you can at least deal it. Like I use now volleys to build up my ult faster by trying to get more headshots on like characters like divas, because their head is in the middle, so you just try to discord them or whatever, and then you charge up that volley because they all the time stand and try to absorb everything. And now that the matrix is so much smaller, you can get a lot of little dinks, and then that builds up their ultimate a lot quicker than if you were just trying to spam, I think. So
yeah, I'm glad you brought up the diva change there too, or not diva change, but how you combat the divas. Because what you can do is you, like you said, you put the Discord on them because they can't matrix that, and then you start, firing your Discords until they show matrix, and then when they show matrix, you just stop firing and you pre-fire or you charge your volley, and then the second they run out of matrix, the second they pull it down, then you just let go and you just get a quick burst of damage. So you're actually not losing any DPS in that scenario.
Yeah.
In the 1v1 especially. And then the other thing that you mentioned that's really, really cool is that earlier you mentioned that you not only can lose the DPS, but like when you do pre-fire the volleys, you don't have to charge it to 5. Or you don't have to charge it for however long. You can just let it go with like 2 or 3 orbs, right?
Yeah. I would say 2 is probably even like is good enough sometimes, as long as you're fighting behind a corner or whatever and they're quickly just like jumped in. You have enough, it's like a half a second probably to charge up, and then you just have 2 of those balls that might one of them might hit the head, and then that's going to be a big change to the outcome of the fight. And then you dead the kick. Yeah, you always punch him and kick him while they're down.
I love the kick. It just looks so silly. Zenyatta just loses his little robot legs.
Yeah, the kick is my favorite as well, especially when a Reinhardt is 1 HP and he holds the shield and you just walk up and kick it.
And then the ragdoll effect,
that's a good feeling.
Tiny little guy.
For sure. One thing that I do want to say about the volley is that compared to your regular fire is very, how do you say that? Paused, or it has like a very slow flow to it. It's not very fast. So there are times where rhythm. The rhythm is very slow. So there are times where like no matter what, you just won't have the time to deal a lot of damage with it because they'll go around the corner, they'll hide or anything. But with your volley, you have like this really high concentrated burst of damage, and I think that's like the closest to burst you're gonna get with Zenyatta. It's the only way that you can get it with him, and that can be useful sometimes. I use it, for example, around chokes. If the enemy team has a composition that is not very mobile, they gotta walk through the choke somehow. They got a Reinhardt or something. You have such a long range with him that you can just charge up the volley, fire it at the choke, and throw your Discord behind it. And you're not even aiming at anybody in particular. You're just kind of aiming at the choke. And like sometimes, or usually, if I don't deal a massive amount of damage to somebody, I can get like a kill or something, especially if you're aiming it towards kind of like their neck area. So in situations like that, the volley can be useful. Just huge burst of damage. And like you said, around corners where you don't have a lot of time, your volley or your regular fire might be too slow to kill this tracer, but you're around a corner where you have the time to charge up a little bit, and then you can do that huge burst, kill her right as she comes around the corner, save your life. So definitely there's situations where you want that speed, even though you sacrifice a little bit of a charging power to do it. But like, again, it's all about positioning. It's all about that judgment. Zenyatta, you have to make a lot of judgments during the fight. That's why I like when you said he was kind of like the maestro or the air traffic control, because he is.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree about the volley as well, coming out around the corners, especially in the very beginning of the fight. Like, you're coming in, there's nothing going on. You're going to just throw that in there and try to get that. Another one time when you definitely want to use volleys is when you got like a Sonic Arrow from Hanzo or something. He gives you that awesome vision.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe they're like what is it? I always call it Saints Row. It's King's Row. King's Row, for example, you're defending the first point, for example. And if the Hanzo throws the Sonic Arrow in that little room on the right, it's like the hotel room or whatever, I forgot the name. And you can see that nobody's there. That's your time for you to then walk in, charge your volley, and then just try to see if anyone's not watching that side and just shoot at them. Or if somebody is there, you can charge the volley and then just kind of peek out, quickly shoot, get a few shots in, and then maybe they're not finished yet, but you can quickly discord them and then follow up with like one more or two attack. The one thing to watch out with volleys is your ammo management. Try not to go more than 2 times shooting your volleys, and then you might be too low of an ammo count. So that's something that actually was watching Blinky play, and he was talking about that. He was saying like you use more than 2, then you have 5 balls left, for example, if you did full charges, and then all of a sudden a flanker comes and you got 5 balls to kill this flanker, and then you have to reload.
Good luck.
It's pretty much, not going to happen. So at least with 10, you have a good odd of winning that. Or if you run out of 10 balls and you didn't hit them, you probably were going to lose anyways. So shooting
true.
2, shooting 2 times and then maybe remembering to manage your reload after that is another thing is important, I'd say. I don't know if we're going to talk about some of these Zen changes that we should want to have, but I definitely have some I would like to share down the road.
Yeah, we can.
We'll make sure you have some time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well,
Right.
I think that kind of like sums it up with the attacks. Is there anything else in particular you want to add about the right click or the left click? Any positioning things?
Yeah. So basically, if you're gonna right click or left click, let's say you're gonna just do primary fire. If it's just you're fighting 1-on-1 duels or it's someone's medium range and they're trying to shoot at you, don't charge into right click. Just use your primary fire because you're gonna have more control to adjust. Another one is probably if someone's running in a straight line and you see them first and you're like on high ground, just use your primary fire to shoot that because it's an easy straight line and you're going to be able to track that easier. Because I just don't want any like beginner players to like be like, oh, I see someone running and you're like right next, like, I don't know, maybe 30 meters away or 20 meters away, 2 blinks, let's say for Tracer, and you're like, oh, I'm going to charge this now and I'm going to wait and then I'm going to shoot. That doesn't work. It's more of a surprise attack. So think of it as right-clicking as a burst attack. You flank someone and you just want to do that extra quick damage. It's surprising. And then after that, you go to primary fire. It's just, I don't want anyone charging in the middle of a fight instead of shooting. That's kind of the main thing with it.
Yeah, and one thing to mention is the volley is like putting all of your eggs into the same basket, right? It's a huge burst of damage, but if you miss it or if your target somehow changes direction after you fire, they still have a travel time. And once you miss, you miss. You know, you spend the last 5, maybe like 3 to 5 seconds charging that thing up. Then you miss the whole thing. Then you have a little downtime. And in this whole time, you could have been more selective with your orbs and be like, okay, this one go over here. It misses, but I have another chance. Then, you know, it's like separating your chances rather than putting everything into one single shot.
Yeah. And definitely don't forget that you're going to have situations where you're going to have to cancel that charge to heal someone or to discard them. And you're going to have to use that little kick animation to stop the charge. A lot of times I'm doing my volley, then I see someone dying and I'm like, nope. And then I have to stop the charge and heal them.
Yeah.
That's something I think.
Ooh, that takes a lot of discipline, dude. That's a true Zen master right there. To stop a charge to heal somebody.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Spy, because I use the cancel a lot. Like, if you're not utilizing this cancel, I feel like your Zen play is not getting even close to where you can start learning even more. Because I cancel it a lot, not just for doing the healing like you're talking about, or just like charging something and like, this has got to be discarded right now. Or this person is going to die if I don't give an orb. Is the other side is when you talked earlier about doing these weird flanking routes, where flanking on Zenyatta is more of just like getting a different sight line of the battle. And staying at range, especially unless if you're just trying to stay away from flankers and like mixing up your position so they don't just go to the back line and find you and kill you. But like when I do the flanking routes, I'm always pre-setting my volleys. And if I pre-set a volley and I peek a corner and nobody's there, I'm just like the oh crap kick to cancel, right?
Yeah.
The oh crap cancel kick, as we call it. This is not the triple. Yeah. So anyways, just do that. Cancel your thing with your kick. The only thing that you're gonna give away in your position is an audio cue. So if they're within range of an audio cue, then you should have known where they're at and you should have hit them anyways. But if they're not within range and you fire all these 5 shots, their team's gonna like turn around like, what the heck? There's like 5 orbs right by my head. Where'd that Zen go? And then they're just gonna hunt you. So it's really, really solid advice to use the kick as a cancel. You will still expend all of the orbs you charge, though. So I will warn you. When you do the kick and you cancel it, it does use the orbs because it basically brings them up to Zenyatta to get ready to fire them, and then they dissipate. That's kind of the animation.
I actually didn't even know that. Didn't ever pay attention to that. So that's,
I learned it after I started canceling it a lot more.
Rob.
Yes! My hours of Zen this season worked. But yeah, I figured that out after charging twice, and then like I had to duel somebody, and I only had like 6 orbs left. I was like, I gotta stop canceling this much.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to fire. But yeah,
Also, remember
go ahead.
remember that Zen doesn't actually have footsteps, so he is silent when he flanks. So that's probably another good thing of why you do flank, because people won't hear you.
That is a really good thing to mention too. We didn't mention it at the top of the show, but Zen is the only character that makes no sound while moving, which is actually really strong.
Unless he goes from high ground to low ground, and then you can kind of hear the chinks of the armor.
A small puff of shingles, yeah.
Yeah. But we need to keep moving. So let's get into experiencing tranquility and jump into transcendence. This is the ultimate ability. So the things that we're looking for is when to use. Because timing is everything.
To your team?
Yeah, I did. That's how you talk. It's the whole time I'm in
I would
Zen.
love to have you as Zen on my team.
Can we have a demo, please?
Yeah, it always starts off, "Hello, everybody. How are we all doing today?" And then I just call out every Discord, just like, we got Tracer coming up. And actually I have names like for a lot of the characters, like funny names. So Winston would be like Chunky Monkey coming up over here, Discorded. Mercy, please come here, help me. Then Genji Boy.
That's like everything you would expect from your Zenyatta player.
It's I'm totally goofball. Like it's just like Traceroni, McCrizzle. Dancing Queen is Symmetra.
McCrizzle?
I'm gonna steal that one.
Everyone loves Chunky Monkey. It's like when I say that, people just start dying when they play. They actually start to copy me sometimes saying Chunky Monkey. The other one that I say, Torbjorn is Toblerone, and Bastion is Sebastian. Well, I don't remember. They just literally come on top of my head. Oh yeah, Mercy is Sugar Glider now. Which
Sugar Glider.
Yeah, and people were calling her Moth, but then I was playing with a person, Mercy main only, and her name was Sugar. And I just started, for some reason, just like Sugar Glider just came to my mind. I just started saying Sugar Glider, yeah. Sugar Glider, please. Let's focus her. Yeah, so I already forgot what's the question we were talking about. Oh, yeah.
We are going into Transcendence. Yeah, let's talk about Transcendence. It's a complex ability, right?
The right names for the heroes is
it's
the ability.
It's a game-separating ability. It's a game-defining, battle-defining, game-winning sometimes. Kind of like separates the battlefield right here. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Trance is probably like one of the big things that also separates you from good Zen to a bad Zen, knowing the timing. And people can get upset at you. It's like, why didn't you use Trance at this right time? Blah, blah, blah.
They've got upset at me, I'll tell you that.
The thing of it right now, this Transcendence is it's a big counter play, I'd say, most of the time. Because, if a Genji ults, you're going to have to save the day and try to counter it with him, dashing around. And since you get the movement speed, you're going to try to cancel the ults. A lot of it's canceling ults, basically, I would say. But there are situations where you're going to have to use it just to keep the team alive. Because it's at the end of the game, or that maybe those two team members are more important than the countering of the ult. So down the road, though, most of the time it always bites me if I use the trance early to save some team members to win the fight, because then later on they'll be like, oh, sorry, ult, oh, we die. Like that kind of situation happens. So you almost always, you look at the team composition and you decide, okay, what am I going to save my ult for? And if there's no Zarya, if there's no Genji, like you almost then can use it at the times to save the day. Even if it's just maybe your character will get a pick because he stays alive and the other character doesn't. That's still a pick, so you're still getting some kind of momentum. It's not the best time to use it, but it's still there. So that will happen with practicing it. The main ones though is definitely, I used to use it all the time on Zarya. Is now, especially because you can't leave the area.
The Graviton?
Genji is a big one. Yeah, Genji's a big one, and then Soldier ult. Now Soldier ult seems to not be as big as it used to be, as way more dangerous because Ana is not being used as much. But definitely those three, I'd say, are the ones. Maybe even which one? Oh, Pharah.
Pharah ult can be tricky because depending on the range, she can still kill you through Transcendence. I've noticed.
and Reaper ult too. That one's tougher to time because he's a sneaky little bastard. But you can start to sense. Actually, I'm not even like I've used it on Reapers. I've used it on Reinhardt. If you're really good, you can time the Reinhardt ult with his ult, and you can pre do it at this. Once he's swinging the hammer. But then again, if there's a Zarya in play, you probably should save it for that kind of a situation, because in the end, they're just gonna do that at the end of the fight and screw you over. It's such a judgmental call, and there's times where I'm like, oh, there's a Genji and there's a Zarya. Guys, when should I use it? And I've been in automatically from dive meta season, like instinctually now, just I hear the Genji blade and I just press the button because I needed to stay alive and save everybody. But now this is not the case because the Mercy changes happen. I've been screwed a little bit where I hear the Genji blade and then Mercy ult and I ult, and we just wasted 2 ults because if Mercy stays alive, she's gonna just res those people. So you're almost better not using it with the meta now. You're better off saving for Zarya or just like situations that Mercy can't control. Even maybe saving Mercy so she could valve.
And I think that is the hardest part of this ult because, like you said, Zen's ult is a reactive ult, unlike some other ults, which you're supposed to initiate with them. With Zen ult, you almost want to save it for like that last fraction of a second before shit's gonna go down, right? Like when you see the Graviton go, when you see Genji pull out his sword, and you're right, it's a counter ult. You're using it to counter whatever big move they're trying to make. In some situations, maybe when the enemy team has no ults, and it requires you to keep track of them too, right? Like you need to be aware, like, does their Genji have ult? Is it likely that their Zarya has ult? Or if all of the danger is gone, if their ultimates are all depleted, and maybe my team is just dying from regular fire, can I just use this to save them and win this fight no matter what? Will I have time to get the next Transcendence before the next big Graviton comes down? So it's all this kind of like ult management. It's all about the counterplay. You have to be paying attention to what the enemy team is doing, how they're trying to initiate. And like you said, if you use it just a little bit too early, then the Genji or that Zarya or whoever is saving their ult will be like, well, I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds, and as soon as he finishes, then I'm going to use my ult. And at that point, you get caught with your pants down kind of thing. But if you use it at the right situation, it's a huge swing of battle, right? There's nothing more demoralizing than Zarya putting down the Graviton on the enemy team, and then the Zen just bursting into all these healing, and you're just like, oh, crap. Well, this grab's not doing anything.
Yeah. Definitely. There are times, though, you could use it offensively, and that's something that I wish they changed some of the stuff about Zen to make it a little bit more interesting, so you could use it in different ways. But the times that I've used it offensively is last push, we're all just going to go in. We need to get on the point with the ult so everyone can kind of push through so no one can stop that. And then second time when the Genji blade ults, sometimes I just go with Genji. I just press the button and I give him my harmony, and then we just go together with the Zen ult and then just let him do work.
Him unkillable.
Do work.
Yeah, and then the other things that you can definitely do with Zen that I've had success when you use your trance is get in position to flank with it after. So all this crazy stuff's going on. You got your chance going on. People are just trying to shoot at other targets because obviously no one's going to focus at you because you're not there.
Yeah.
You can't be even targeted. So then you can kind of sneak away towards the end, and you see who is at the back line, and you can a lot of times just like get behind a wall and then come behind them after that and start taking them out. I've had multiple times where I just like, okay, it's the end of trance. What should I do with it? And that's another probably good thing to think about. After you trance, save a second or a half to get out. You need to get into a safe position. There's so many times where I used to just like stay in the middle of the fight, trance is done, and then I'm dead. It just
you're right
get
in
out.
the thick of it. Yeah.
Get in a new position, whether it's defensive or it's going to be offensive. And there's times where it's like an Ana is sitting in the back, just like sniping, pew, pew, pew. So, I just get in the back, and then I'm like, all right, let's go one-on-one. I got to take you out. And, sometimes it pays off a lot. You can get like 2 picks because of that, because you're in the back of the line. No one's expecting it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I love the speed boost that they gave Zen when they did the initial rework, because the speed boost not only allows you to save people and actually have this more engaging tool to help allies, but also it just gives you a repositioning tool if you're able to discipline yourself on the 6th second, right? You have 5 seconds. You basically have 1 second to kind of move from your current position to where you need to be, and then you can kind of do whatever you need to do, and then you have another second to get out, and you have the speed boost on all of this. So it's just really, really good. And then there's 2 things that I wanted to mention and kind of get your take on these, because this is something that I had somebody mention to me in coaching. Just before the show, I was talking with XRYZ, who is a Symmetra and a support main, and I ran these by him as well. But the first thing is that when you do your transcendence, if at all possible, try to make sure that Discord and Harmony are both on something when you go in. And it's really hard to make sure this is happening, but typically the Harmony is already on something. It's the Discord that you want to make sure that is the hard one, because you're not only trying to save your team in a very panic reactionary way, but you're also trying to make sure that the Discord is on the high priority target, like an ulting Soldier, an ulting Genji, an ulting X, Y, or Z, right? And then you want to pop trans, because then you're basically able to save your team and also make sure that they're getting the pick at the same time.
Right.
And
I totally agree.
Okay, and the second one is a little bit more of a kind of nuanced thing, and maybe not necessarily always something you want to do, but actually using your transcendence to body block damage. It's really weird because you have your models actually a little bit weirder now that you have like all these arms and stuff, and it's really hard to see if you're in the face of somebody to shoot anything. So you're not only body blocking the damage because you're taking it, but you're also blinding them because you're a freaking beacon of the sun.
So what do you still block damage while in transcendence?
I think so, because Roadhog can hook it, so I'm assuming that you can still.
Yeah, you can.
You're right. Yeah.
Block. That's what I used to do when a Soldier used to ult. I don't really know if it goes through, but Soldier used to ult. I would just walk into his face and I would just do this, like stop. You know?
No. No.
That's literally what I would do. I just like dance in his face, and I don't know if it goes through or not, because I would assume that like if I'm blocking you just can't target me. That would be something I really wanted to test out, where he could still like do a little peek and he'd do his nanovisor or whatever. But that's what I used to do a lot. But then you gotta remember you can't hang out there for too long, and then you gotta get out.
No.
So it does work. I think definitely it's a fun way of doing it, especially if your team is right there.
Nice.
And people would just get mad at you.
That just gave me such a funny image of this like sentient robot being that has spent his entire life, finding himself and being one with the iris. And once he goes to the iris, he just goes dances in front of soldiers.
Just an angry monk.
Oh, man, that's great.
Stop it. Another one I would like to see if I would go in front of McCree when he's ulting, if I could just block his vision, then can he do anything? That's something I didn't ever try, because I was always worried, like, if I'm on... Yeah. I mean, I would like McCree, because McCree does his high noon, he's just standing there, and I could just get in front of his face and be like, okay, have fun.
Or Farah, too, depending on the angle.
Yeah. Farah's for sure, like, you just jump. I just jump. And don't forget to jump, too, like, when someone's flying around, because you only have a small radius, so try to jump and just get that little extra heal on the people when you're doing it.
Nice.
I will definitely test the McCree one to see if it actually goes
we
through.
gotta do some science here. The last thing I want to mention about transcendence, and I'm sure you have thought about this too, is learn how to move in transcendence. Because you're in the iris and you're invulnerable, you don't need to be dodging anything. You don't need to be moving like frantically all over the map. In fact, I think that sometimes it's better if you choose a very central point where you can get the most of your team and stay in that position, almost still sometimes, because that allows your team to know, okay, if I stay here, I can heal myself and we win this kind of like position. And I'm not saying like you always have to do this, but be aware of where you're positioning yourself and allow your teammates to take the most advantage out of it. I see a lot of Zen sometimes transcendence, especially at the lower ranks, and just start moving like all over the place. And at that point, you're kind of like leaving some teammates behind. They don't really know where you're kind of gonna go, so they don't know if they should stay in this area or like wait for you. And your area is huge, you know what I mean? That thing like envelops a huge part of the map, so you don't have to be moving very much.
Yes, I
Yeah.
definitely, but don't get to the point where you just, depending on what map you are, and if there's like a monkey or a roadhog and stuff like that, or like a Lucio, you got to be careful when you trans into it and not get booped off. That's happened to me before in like 2 CP points, or like a roadhog decides to hook you out of the way, out of trance, and you're not healing everybody. So knowing who you're going against, maybe move a little bit, and definitely don't peek a corner. What was that map? The 2 CP map where the Lucio always boops people off on both sides. I forgot the name of it. It's not just speed. It's a king of the hill map.
Li Jiang.
Probably that
Lijiang
one and
Tower?
the
Nepal.
Lijiang and
Nepal?
the other one as well. Nepal, yeah, I think that one. So just like don't
You're
go
indoors.
in. Yeah, don't go in and then get booped off, and then you're just wasted your trance. Monkey might be
That's
ulting.
true.
Sometimes the monkey will bump you off, and that's one thing is when monkey's ulting, a good monkey times their hits. So like if you just constantly press W, they'll just keep bumping you, bumping you, bumping you. So sometimes you actually have to like go back and then have them mistime their punch, so then you can go through them. Otherwise, you just can't go through at all, and they just screw you over, and it's just really frustrating.
And there is nothing that will
Yeah.
take you out of your zen faster than getting booped while transcending.
Yeah,
Like literally,
that's-
they'll take you out of the zen.
it is
All
pretty
right,
frustrating.
I think we covered a lot of the positioning, but we have a couple specific questions as well. And one of them has to do with gauging your distance as far as where it's okay to be versus being passive from Switch. And then Rainer Wilkie is asking about gauging distance from your team as far as like where and when do you need to be. You answered kind of the flankers question, so we won't go into that as much. But is there a sweet spot for when you're trying not to be super passive against flankers and just staying inside of the team?
So if it's just like a stalemate at the moment going on, then you're probably going to be more like 10 meters away, let's say, from your team. So then basically you want to be in an area though that you could see everyone. If I could turn and I could discord or harmony somebody, and then I could still go back and discord someone else. Like you need to have a vision of almost everybody, I would say. So get in a position where you could see everyone, and don't be also in an open, or don't be in an area where there can be multiple angles that people can come at you. If they're going to come at you on one angle, then you know you can have an escape route the other. So you need to have some kind of escape route just in case there is a flanker set up. So I can give you guys a one map that I think no one plays Zen the way I play there, and I think I get a really good success is in Hanamura, the second point when you're defending. So usually everybody always goes either like top left or they like defending in the middle. They kind of scatter that whole like second floor area.
Yeah.
So if you have a Reinhardt and they're all top left, don't go there. Just stay at the spawn area where that wall is. There's a middle wall, and then you can go either right or left. It's like a little platform. It's not inside the actual point, but you're like in the back.
Yeah.
So just stay there, and then you basically can harmony almost everybody. It's a little bit out of distance sometimes, but if you have a Mercy on your team, you just gave your Mercy an escape route every single time, and then that's a huge change of game for them. So I would win games, and all I probably wouldn't even shoot. I just harmony people that are there that are taking damage, and if they're on the second floor, just that platform area, you just harmony and discord anyone that runs out. And then if there's a flanker coming at you, you got to make sure that you communicate with the Mercy and that she comes for you, and then you pretty much take care of business. But as soon as like they all go top left, Mercy a lot of times gets killed, and if you give her that little escape route, that it's like a huge change of swing for everyone else. So I would win a lot of games that way, just by sitting around and just throwing orbs. And if there's a Widow, just make sure that you're not peeking all the time. Just like call out the Widow, maybe discord her, and just like wait it out. And then if you're gonna peek like with crouching and stuff like that. Don't just like stand there and shoot orbs. So if you're playing smart about it, then like people will be like super frustrated and they're gonna try to get you. And when they try to get you, then your team's gonna end up either being in a advantage because they have to be in the open, so now people can start shooting at them and stuff like that. So eventually, maybe they'll kill you, but you might get 2 picks because of that. So it's a trade that usually works. But obviously, if the team doesn't go top left, like your whole team is not there, then it might not work. But that's like a one positioning where you're like really far away, but you can see everyone, and you're also protecting your supports that way as well.
Nice.
Gotcha.
I think that's great advice. Like those positionings, like the one you said in Hanamura, that one like has all of the check marks that Zenyatta likes, right? Like he has a full range view of all of the battlefield. It's easy for him to put the Harmony Orb or Discord Orb on literally anyone. Not only that, but the spot is really hard to get to, right? Like if the enemy team wants to get to you, they have to pretty much commit. They're like all the way in. Your team has a good chance to like fall back and engage them. And not only that, but you have a side that is completely secure, right? Like you can just back down a little bit, and you can even go back to your spawn if you really need to get healed or anything like that. So I think that if you can find spots like that generally around the map that meet those conditions, right? Like, can you back up to safety is needed? Do you have a full range view of the battlefield? Is it easy for you to see your teammates, and is it easy for your teammates to see you and support you as needed? Does the enemy team have to do a huge commitment to get to you, kind of thing?
Yeah, and it's always you'll have to look at what they're running. You know, if they're running a Sombra, then you know it's gonna be hell on earth for you. So depending on the situation, you might want to stay next to your teammates, or you might want to, you know, if you're holding ult and you know Sombra has ult, maybe just be like, okay, I'm gonna back away, and I'm gonna have Sombra waste ult on me, or she has to make a decision and waste ult and, you know, use the ult on them, then I can transcend. So you have to give her, like, play these kind of little mind games at the same time. And like if there's a Junkrat, for example, now it's so big, you know, you don't want to be close because he's going to be spamming shields and stuff. Lucky little bombs will fly in there, and all of a sudden you're dead, and you're just like, God damn, this is so lucky, you know. So
right.
You have to analyze the team in a sense. Just kind of press tab and see who's playing, and then make your decision from there. But you need to be able to have a good view of your team, at least your team, before you can do stuff. Sometimes I get happy fragging, and then I forget about my team, and then, you know, it doesn't actually do any good. Maybe you get 2 picks, and then your team is already dead, and you're like, I got 2 picks, guys, where are you? And then, yeah, it's too bad. You know, you didn't save them. So sometimes I think being in that position where you can heal and Discord is more important, because like in that Hanamura map, I would just sit there, and then my team would push out sometimes into that left area where that statue is, and there's a mega pack there, and they would just kill things, and I wouldn't even go. And because they like, we got a few picks in the beginning, and they just push out, and I just sit there and I just wait. And I think you can actually probably play a game, I think, and win without using a single shot. If you do your stuff correctly, I would like to test that out as a challenge. Just like no shots are fired, just Harmony and Discord. If you do stuff right, I think it's possible to win with a good team as well, because it's just that's more. I think it's more important.
How valuable it is.
Yeah, than just the fragging itself. So don't be like, I want to get trigger happy and stuff like that. You'll get your shots. So
right.
That's kind of
all right.
Alrighty, we are running a little bit out of time over here.
Yeah, I was going to say, you answered pretty much all of the other questions about shot calling and positioning against divas and tracers and the flanker section. So let's move on to the very end here. So we have a couple things that kind of overlap, but let's start with the easy one. So the easy one is the Halloween Terror 2017 is finally released, and we haven't really covered it yet. We kind of announced that it was coming, but it's here. It came out on the 10th, and it will be here until November the 1st. So if you're going to want to make sure that you get around to the 1st, and then blow all your credits on anything that you need to get. Okay. The next thing is the skins. If you're wondering what are the new things, I've been living under a rock and I haven't really known. So there is a Cthulhu / tentacle monster / octopus Zen that's out there that everybody is loving. Changed a couple voice lines. Purple monster, very cool. Zenyatta is awesome. And there's also a Symmetra one that looks like Kerrigan from StarCraft got a hold of Deathwing, and they had a small child, and it looks like Symmetra. So there you go. There's the Symmetra one. It's pretty cool. It's very dragon themed. McCree, I know Anders loves the skin. It is a Van Helsing theme with a crossbow on his back, a molten lava gauntlet on his fan hammer hand. It's very, very cool. And Anna got a bayonet on her rifle because now she's a pirate, and she actually has a parrot that sticks around with you while you're running around. So you can confuse the snot out of people trying to headshot you. Maybe. And then you have Torbjorn, which got the Viking skin to match the Viking ones that Mercy has. He has Mjolnir, which is the weapon of choice for Thor, as his hammer, and also a kind of a very cool Game of Thrones wolf vibe to his claw and his gun. So it's a very, very cool skin itself. And Reaper got a Dracula skin. Zarya got a, what's it called? An 80s themed skin. So that's kind of like what the cool things are here. But we have a lot of like really big news items that I think we're going to have to push, and we want to talk with Switch and CS next week. And this is about the ultimate changes. So we're going to cover that next week because we are going super long right now. But let's move into closing thoughts on Zenyatta. I think you said you wanted to mention, if given the situation where you could talk about Zen and make adjustments on him, what would you do?
Okay. Sorry, I guess I talked too much. Sorry, guys.
No.
No, it's all good.
We had a great episode. Dude. That was a great talk about Zen, and this is why this episode's all about.
All right. So my biggest complaint about the Zen right now is I just want one small thing, and that's when you ult. After you're done ulting, please just give him the reload. Just give him all the balls back. It's just so frustrating going in. It's a reactive ult, you know. I have 3 shots left, and then Genji blade ults or Zarya ults. I have to press Q. I don't have time to reload, and I reload, and then I get out of my fight, and I have to fight another Genji or a Tracer, and I shoot 3 times. I get a dink, and then I'm like, oh, reload. No, game over. Like, it's so annoying, and everyone else almost gets I think a reload. I think Soldier gets a reload. I think probably a Roadhog gets a reload.
McCree gets a reload.
Yeah, everyone gets reloads, and I'm just like, why are you guys gimping
poor
this
Zen.
character? It's just so frustrating. Like, that's one of the hugest pet peeves for me, and that makes it a little bit annoying with that. And another thing is, if you could let at least me
gets a reload.
Yeah, dude, what? Like, come on, man. He's not that like OP, you know.
Reaper has a reload too with the raid form, not with ult.
Oh wow, yeah, I had 2 reloads.
They forgot about Zen. They need to give him some love. The other one is if you're doing the volley, I would really like the ability to at least harmony people while you're doing it, just because it gimps you so much a little bit that I don't think it's that OP that he can throw a harmony on someone while he's doing it. I'm okay with discording because discord would be a little too crazy because you'd be like discord and volley at the same time. That's too much, but maybe harmony would be a little bit nicer, and maybe harmony staying not longer, but what was it?
While they're healed.
Not coming back to you once they're fully healed.
Yeah, that was just like sometimes just silly because I can keep it on a widow and then let her just do work and I can get assists, but I always have to keep pressing it after like every few seconds and stuff like that. No. And maybe if they could change some way to maybe fix the ult in a sense, because it's so reactive and it gets countered now really hard in high level because they can still blast through it. A tracer bomb with Zarya, it just doesn't matter what you do. So you can only
the Ana grenade as well during it.
Yeah, there's so many times now that the ult is not as strong as it could be anymore. So, and you can't do it offensively as much. So maybe if they could have tweaked something where you can charge it quicker, but it does a little bit less healing. But now I can actually use it twice before, because Genji can use his blade 2 times basically before I get my ult once because I get it so slow. So if they could do something like that where the ult charge is quicker, but maybe the range is smaller, and I can actually go in and do it offensively or defensively, would be a little bit nicer.
I know that some people have proposed having 2 modes during Transcendence. You know how he has Discord and Harmony, that you could switch that during his ultimate so that maybe somehow you can stop the healing, and instead of doing healing, you just do like a huge Discord debuff.
Anti?
Like, yeah, not anti, but like maybe just like Discord on everyone, on all the enemy team, for example, and like the same area. And maybe you can toggle between them, kind of like a Lucio Aura kind of thing.
I mean, I would not be opposed to any of those changes.
At least we're just spitballing ideas over here. We also got confirmation over here from chat. Solarpunk says Zen does block the ultimate for McCree, and he does block damage. That's what he was saying over here.
We're gonna do that then.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that actually.
For science,
as a McCree fan over here.
Yes.
All right, Andres, what do you want to go transition into here? Because I know that you're kind of monitoring the time a little bit better than I am this week.
Alrighty, yeah, we unfortunately are running a little bit short on time, so we're closing the show over here. We had a great interview with RossianSpy today. Thank you so much for coming, man. We hope to have you again sometime if some changes happen to Zen, or I know there's other heroes that you play.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I mean, it's my pleasure. This is super fun. I never thought I would be doing any interviews. So it's just the more the merrier. I'd love to come back.
It's always the first. All right.
Yeah.
And to close out the show over here, we do have a couple iTunes reviews from Geico from Australia and from Svorner in the USA. Thank you guys for, messaging to the show, giving us your feedback. It keeps the eyes on us. It helps us be visible in the iTunes store and lets us know that we're doing a good job or what we're not doing a good job on. Also, super special thanks to our diamond sponsors. You guys keep the lights on over here in the lab. Ben W., Chris the Playa, Good Apollo, Lysum, Magic, Michael Kritz, Not Wadib, RC Crispy, Ricky Dicky, Sketchy Nonsense Podcast, Tragic Zach, and Trinium. Thank you so much for supporting the show at the highest level. And we also have a new patron today, Justin M. Thanks for joining the squad, man. And thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. Now that we're preparing for BlizzCon, we're really banking all of this. You guys have made it happen to us. It's really thanks to you guys that Rob and I have been able to make this trip happen. So we are super, super grateful for it. Thanks again so much. Is there anything you want to add over here, Rob?
No, I definitely would just want to reinforce, me going to BlizzCon is a dream come true and a content creator's best case scenario in a Blizzard game. So big thanks, especially for you guys. I know that raising money as a podcast is kind of just something that we don't really like to do because this is something we do for free anyways, but it's just kind of a nice thing that you guys are helping to support us and continue the show getting better. I know Andres is making an investment for interviews for the show now that we got the media passes. He's like, oh, I'm definitely making these purchases now. I know for me, my traveling bill is significantly higher now that I'm a Japan resident, so there's always that. But yeah, if you guys want to find the lab outside of BlizzCon, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon with the tag Omnic Lab. So that's twitter.com/Omnic Lab or patreon.com/Omnic Lab. That's where you can support the show. The best way to freely support the show, aside from listening, is to support us on iTunes reviews. And iTunes reviews are difficult for people that love Android, but if you can make an account and hop on the iTunes store and leave us an iTunes review, that helps us a lot in not only iTunes search results and podcast search results, but also in Google, ironically enough. If you guys like our community, you can join us in Discord. We have a very large Discord community for all platforms, and we even have people like RossianSpy and past guests kind of hanging out in there, occasionally posting some of their content, and also entertaining some guests with questions that you may or may not have. Our Discord is at discord.me/OmnicLab, and you can find us there. The website is omniclab.com, and if you want to find the full extended edition of all of the show notes, you can click the Google a full extended show notes link. That's going to do it for where you can find the show. Our special guest, RossianSpy, where can people find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs, deep dark. You guys can find me on Twitch TV, RossianSpy with an O, just RossianSpy, but instead of U, it's an O. Same thing for Twitter, it's just RossianSpy, and same thing for YouTube, RossianSpy. Mostly Twitch. I mean, I'm mostly on Twitch all the time, so that's the best way to support me right now. Slowly growing with the pleasant voice and soothing tranquility.
Yeah, definitely check him out if you guys want to see what he can do with Zen. He's an amazing player. And if you guys want to interact a little more with him, ask him questions, be sure to follow him on his own channels over there. If you want to personally find me, you can find me at iPlayGames on Twitter. You can also find my music blog on soundcloud.com/iPlayMusic. And you can find all of my podcasting ventures over audioblender.studio.
If you guys want to find me, I'm on Twitter at the tag NotRob, as well on Instagram with the same tag. I'm also doing some Hearthstone podcasts with my buddy Grant Gould, aka Watchman, and Eve Martin. And we are doing some awesome stuff for Hearthstone this week. We're doing some Malore. We're doing there's a new hero that just got announced that we're super hyped about for Warlock. So if you guys want to tune in to Velen's Chosen, that's the name of the show. You can find it at velenschosen.com. And my personal project is called Concept Craft. It's just helping creators be creators and do their thing. I was going to record something this week, but got slammed with international tax. So I'm hoping this weekend to kind of put something out there. But if you guys are looking forward to BlizzCon, consider trying to come by to the Con Before the Storm. Andres will hopefully be able to get you the little blurb right here about that. But if you want to find their information, their website is conbeforесtorm.com/world-of-podcast. And you can find Andres on the Overwatch panel and myself on the Hearthstone panel on the Thursday before BlizzCon. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode number 74, going deep for Zenyatta. Remember, don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully you guys can get yet another console update. Take it easy.
Thanks to everyone in the chat who came along. XEDX, Disciple, Stone Gorgon, Solar Punks, Rage Bucket, and Roast, Klim Dickner, some of the usual suspects. Oh, there's no Baya today. I had made the zoom in for her. I see how things are, Baya.
Next time.
I have nothing more to teach you.
Alright,
The
guys.
rest you must learn for yourself.
Catch you all later.
Walk in
Gotta love
harmony,
the Zen
my
voice.
student.
Oh, dude, that's been the OG since we started the show. We finally did the episode for him.
Really? This is awesome.
He's the second to last one in the roster.
You guys just going down the road, right?
No.
We've been like all over the place.
So we can get guests with.
Yeah. Later,
Let's be
guys.
honest.
Widowmaker's the last one. Bye, guys.